Well, greetings, world, and greetings, Seven Spot Jim here. Well, the other day I had a nice conversation with Chris Hollier. Now, you probably know Chris because he's been doing our Avon Rescue series along with John Minion. And I just thought I'd record a bit of a conversation we had to discuss some opportunities to do more work with Seven Spot and to let you know that Chris is going to be venturing off on his own with a new YouTube channel that we want to help share and illuminate. So I'm just going to let you be the fly on the wall to listen into our conversation and hope you enjoy it. I just life is short enough, and I've had enough disasters matrimonially in the past. Straight
Yeah.
and true is the way that works.
Yes. It's funny that, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but yet, anyway, getting back to what we were talking about, I mean, your presence on screen, if you don't mind me saying so, is immaculate. I don't pretend to be anything more than I am. I'm a good organizer. I come up with loads of really great ideas, I think, but I'm not a presenter. That's just not who I am. In fact, I'm more of a hermit by nature than a presenter. But you do an excellent job, and I think that you should get your YouTube channel up and going as soon as you possibly can, because anything that we can do using this studio that we're talking to each other on right now, it's totally all right with YouTube to share it. And between you and I mean, there's no shortage of people that you can contact that would help develop a channel for you, and it'd be great.
There's the power of teamwork, isn't it? I can do the chatting. I've done the practical. I know how it all works, but I can't do the editing. I'm not very good at the tech stuff that's required to put it all together and turn it into something polished.
Yeah,
so if between us we can make something that mutually beneficial, let's do it. Let's get on with it. Yeah.
I'm all for it, and I do this well for John, obviously, but I also do it for others like Craig Hutchinson. He does all that stuff with the NEC and mini kits. You know, we do this all the time. So yeah, and I can do it too. Like the way we're doing it, making this recording right now and the other recordings, each screen is separate, so I can manipulate them so that you get something that's absolutely, totally, uniquely yours every time.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah, so
good.
I think
I'm happy to move it forward. I think I mentioned to you a little while ago that I'd got my YouTube channel organised, but nothing on it yet. And I picked the title. I didn't really want to focus it too much on just kit cars.
I agree,
because you alienate a lot of people.
Yeah, and I think it just broadened the scope. And I mean, you probably have seen what Jack Wood most recently put up in his little video. That seems to be the direction. I mean, and I'm doing a number of interviews with some people who are a little longer in the tooth, kit car wise, and just to ask them how they see the future. And not that we're pessimistic, but we had a different approach to it way back when, and now it's just a brand new game. And you know, the body kits and all these other things are just the way of the future, I think.
What I found really fascinating when I saw Jack's little video, I had this conversation with Tom Saunders, who used to be the publisher of Kit Car magazine in 2018, about we should retitle the magazine. Kit Car's become a dirty word. The end result is fine. People like the cars, but the moment you label it as a kit car, you turn off 80% of your viewership or readership.
Yeah.
And we said then, why don't we call it Car Builder Magazine or Specialist Car Builder Magazine? And he said, no, we've got to keep going down the Kit Car Magazine. Now, he was just a publisher rather than a car enthusiast. So he didn't really grab the nuances of where we were trying to go, what we were trying to suggest. But I still think Jack's done exactly the right thing. He's the last surviving magazine, apart from Steve Hull, was a quarterly now.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to embrace a bigger audience, a more diverse audience.
Well, it's change, and that's part of what we do at Seven Spot. The name Seven Spot embraces everything Lotus. So we also do interviews with low tie. Excuse me for putting it that way, the improper way of saying it. but generally speaking, you have to go in the direction that the water is flowing, and that's just the way it is.
And I would imagine a lot of people of our generation, they've tried the hot rod thing, they've tried the kit car thing, they've probably tried some classic car stuff, and it ends up as an amalgam of everything rather than saying, I only do this. No, it's very much, I'll happily be interested to watch all these different things. I may have a hot rod parked in the garage, but I appreciate all the other formats as well. And I'm happy to read about them. And I think it's got to be less specialist, a little bit more diverse, and that will
I absolutely agree. That's the direction I am in not my show notes, but my future planning. That's the direction that I am absolutely going. And I've got some hot rods lined up. That's just the kind of creativity I want to bring forward.
Yeah,
it's not just about the whole thing about low costs and the MKs and GBSs. I mean, at a particular point, it just becomes a little bit stale because we've done it so many different times.
And it was very interesting in conversation with Peter Vivian yesterday about his car, and he described himself as being a creator, and that's very much the mindset I think that's behind so much of this. You don't do it because you think you could. You do it because you absolutely have to.
Absolutely.
It becomes one of those things that you can't live without it. So you need to be creating, you need to be developing, you need ideas just pinging. It makes it really difficult going to sleep at night. Because the head won't turn off. But that feels that you want to make things, and that covers a huge amount of different car type activities.
Genres. It's just like a constant flow of something new and different and exciting, because that's literally what I find. It's the stories. We've all seen people, these videos, YouTube videos, and they're all kind of like a program that we've all seen before. They have a formula. Starts out with a bit of music, and then there's a car splash, and then the guy gets into his story about what he's building, and then there's a whole bunch of accelerated speed with music as the guy is riveting or wrenching or whatever he's doing, and then it comes to a conclusion. Then you stay tuned for next week's episode. It's tedious watching that stuff.
And it doesn't seem to lead to a real world conclusion where you actually get the car out there, take it to a show, take it to an event, do a hill climb, try it, and be honest about the faults. Don't try and polish it too much. Just say, right, okay, I've done this, I tried it, I've found all these things that have gone wrong. You're probably going to find similar as well. A hose blows off, or a wire comes loose, or a wheel wobbles, or there's a million and one things with building cars, as you're well aware. But it needs that level of honesty and reality.
And also a good amount of personal curiosity, because as I've said before, I am so compelled to hear the story behind it, because we see so many people building it. But why did you build? I mean, my case, just like you said it a zillion times, I happen to have two kids who were in high school, wanted to go into trades. So I said, let's build a car. And I know nothing about building cars. I'm a fine arts major in university.
Right. Okay. With both feet.
But we did it, and they both ended up in trades. One ended up being an auto tech, doing restorations on old British cars, and the other one is an aircraft structures mechanic. So it proved to be a worthwhile project.
I came across a very interesting customer. I will just recount this little story. He's become a friend now, and his son got to 14, and he was sitting in front of the TV playing games. This was about 10 years ago, when the gaming thing wasn't quite as strong as it is now. But he was getting quite frustrated. He couldn't get him outside. So he sold the TV. And he said to the son, right, okay, the TV's gone, the games have gone. Now we're going to do something else. And he bought a low cost. just
Oh,
a
really?
chassis, and they built the low cost between them.
Yeah.
I met the son as they got almost to the end of the build, and they wanted to go to an IVA test, and the
Mhm.
father was very unsure about actually how to do the mechanics of it. So I got involved at that stage. But talking to the son, what a huge transformation that had made in his life.
Wow.
And for the first year, he hated his dad because he'd sold his, that was his leisure industry, that the old man's flogged it off. But then
Yeah.
he said, after about 15 or 16 months, he realized how different he was when he went back to school on the Monday morning, where
Wow.
he had done stuff, he had created things, he had
Yeah.
generated something real. He could show them photos of it. And at the end of the build, which took him about just over 2 years, I think,
Yeah.
he actually sat down with his dad and said, I want to officially thank you for the difference you've
Wow.
made. And then he went on
Wow.
to university, and he's now working for McLaren as a design
Uh-huh.
engineer.
Wow.
And he is
What a
flying,
terrific story.
absolutely
Chris,
flying.
you've got to go put that on your channel.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No, serious.
I still know. I don't
Mhm.
know I haven't met his son since. This was, it's a good few years ago now. But
Yeah.
yes, it's one of those that it's such an inspiring story. But how do you get that across to the generation that are going to benefit from it? That's the
Yeah.
tricky one, I think.
Yeah. 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 Well, so many different things to discuss, but let's get the fundamentals set up for Chris, because I was just sitting here yesterday after watching your video and having done this edit on it. It just occurred to me that we can't really postpone this. I want to get you up and going so that you can start creating stuff. You can. It's always good to talk about the future, but the future only comes into being when you take that first step and step into it. So
Yes.
let's get it done.
Yeah. Fantastic. Good stuff, Jim.
All right. Have yourself a great evening, I guess.
Yes, it is. It's almost ready. The dogs have just come back from a walk, so it's now create dinner and have a glass of wine. So,
All right. You have yourself a very pleasant evening, and we will chat later.
okay. See you then.
Cheers.
Cheers now.
You bet.
Bye.
Yeah. Bye.